All right. Hello, and welcome to another episode of Millionaires R Made, where we focus on, where we believe you can be a millionaire in all 6 aspects of health. That's right. Every week we share tips to improve your physical, mental, intellectual, spiritual, financial, and today we're working on your social health. Our episode is how to improve your social health by being the strongest friend. If you have never seen Millionaires Are Made, this is the show built on the fundamental belief that every person you meet knows something you don't, and there's something to be learned from everyone in this big, beautiful world. Here at Millionaires Are Made, we are on a mission to teach the world how to grow into the healthiest, happiest millionaires in all 6 aspects of life. So we went out and we got 3 awesome guests. I lied. Today we got 4 awesome guests with 4 awesome tips. Well, maybe 3 awesome tips and then Jesse's. We'll see how that goes. And 4 awesome tips on how to improve your social health by being a strong friend. In the spirit of authenticity, we don't talk about tips or advice before the show starts. So when our guests share their knowledge with you, it will be our first time hearing it as well. Audience, this is an interactive show. Please leave your questions and comments, and we will answer them live on air. Yeehaw! This is the point in our show where we get to have some fun and shout out some of our followers on socials. So hopefully you are following us on socials and we'll get a shout out to you soon. On Facebook, Daniel Jackson, thank you so much. Instagram, Acacia Mangum, you are awesome. TikTok, Amy Westfall, you rock. And on YouTube, Joan Francis Boyle, thank you for following. You're great. If you ever want to be a guest on our show, we are always in love with having brand new guests. We have 6 guests every week, and we love knowledge and information being shared. So we're dropping a link right now. Click it, sign up, be a guest. If you have a topic that you want to be on, let us know. If you have a topic you're struggling with right now in life, let us know. We will go out and find 3 awesome guests to give you 3 pieces of advice. Yeehaw. And if you are struggling a little bit and you want some one-on-one time, I offer free growth consultations, free coaching. I love going out and helping people learn and grow. That link is being dropped right now. And if you like what we do, we, as always, ask you to hit that like, subscribe, share, send stars. Wherever you're doing, whatever medium you're on, please show us some love so we can keep this show going. Next link we're dropping is our merchandise. We just launched our merch store a couple weeks ago, maybe like 2 months ago. We have awesome shirts and mugs and calendars. Our shirts are really fun, and I get lots of attention. So if you love attention and positively helping the world, go buy a shirt right now and help us spread the word. And before we bring out our first guest, we got to bring out who made it possible. This show is made possible by Veronica Herrera, a life coach and host of the Thrive, Don't Survive podcast, empowering others with emotional regulation. How important is that? And tools to transform challenges into thriving successes. Through struggle comes strength is one of Veronica's favorite things to say. Our next sponsor is Kim Groshek, a 2-time international best-selling author and speaker, helping CEOs maximize focus, energy, and health with 30 years of industry leadership experience. After that, we've got Francine Julin, who is a veteran turned author, inspiring families to explore mindfulness together. Her story and book spark confidence, calm, and connection for kids and parents alike. Connect with Francine to spark your creativity in your family's life now. And our final sponsor for this episode, thank you so much, Brian Wright. If you want to get your brand in front of high-level entrepreneurs and personal growth leaders, which most of us do, reach out to Brian at the Ultimate Achievers magazine, where industry icons meet a content-first audience. Okay, we got all that done. Now, let's go ahead and bring out our first guest, who is named Josh. Josh, who are you?
So I am Josh Perry. I'm a 3rd-generation freight professional who handles domestic and international moves, as well as entertainment professional doing production and A-list talent buying.
A-list talent buy. All right. Well, Josh, I've got a question for you. If I wanted to improve my social health by being a strong friend, what tiny piece of advice would you give me?
So I think a strong friend should always connect with what you care about. And what I mean by that is connect with the things that you know they're going to connect with, or people that you know they're going to connect with. Everybody's got their own independent network. I've seen a statistic that says we all have roughly about 1,000 friends throughout our lifetime, or the average person does,
Hmm.
right? And so you're inevitably going to meet somebody that they're not, and intermingling those networks is how you end up having a party, end up really connecting with a good solid relationship, end up empowering them in such a way that uh, adds to their life. And that's essentially what a good friend is set to do, is add to your life.
A good friend adds to your life. I like that. Nice. Makes you grow, challenges you. Awesome. Josh, where on your life journey did you learn that tip?
I mean, I think I've learned it from both doing and receiving, right? Like I've had good friends hook me up with different connections in both the entertainment industry, freight industry, and relationships for that matter. And then have done the same where, I've connected my friends to uh, again, talent buying, or a job, or a romantic relationship, and watch that flourish. And I think that oftentimes, when you're the person who is giving, you're actually receiving more than you're giving, right? Because you may just be turning the person on to it, but ultimately you get the joy of watching them go through that, right?
Awesome. I love it. Well said, Josh. We have extra guests, so we're going to move a little bit faster here. So we're going to move on to our next guest, Stacy. Stacy, tell us, who are you?
Absolutely. Excuse me. I'm Stacy Shiflett, and I am the founder of a company called Modern Consciousness. What I do is I help people chart their unique treasure map to joy. And that's what I'm all about, joy.
Joy. Oh, well, that's a good thing to be
I
about.
love
I
joy.
support that. I'm joyful
Yeah.
that you love joy. Stacy, I have a very important question for you. If I wanted to improve my social health by being the strongest friend, what tiny piece of advice would you give me?
Oh, gosh. You're not just the go to person. You are reliable, of course, but it's also very intentional, right? You're there with someone, you can hold space without rescuing them. And you can also be truthful and balance honesty with heart, because sometimes you have to have those difficult conversations too.
Hold space for them. Okay, great. Um, all right. Stacy, where in your life journey did you learn this advice?
At 68 years old, I've had a lot of people in and out of my life over the years. So I call myself a proficient student of life. And I would say friendships, are kind of the same way. You learn as you go. And, genuine friendship, if you're always the source, this would be my advice, I guess, too, for people. If you're always the source of the one giving, it's not necessarily a friendship. You're pretty much the supply chain in that relationship. So,
So how do you fix that if you're one of your friends is a taker and always asking and you're the one always giving? Um, Tell us some strategies on how to make that a more balanced relationship.
yeah, we have to be able to have some difficult conversations sometimes. And I think that we can do that again through intentionality, right? And kindness and clarity. But sometimes we have to honor our own boundaries as well, right? I think being a good friend is not compromising on your boundaries. It shouldn't deplete you. We shouldn't, there's a saying I like, carefrontation versus confrontation.
Ooh,
So
nice.
sometimes we just have to have those. discussions, and with true friendships and love between us, we should be able to have those conversations, even when people are at different levels of consciousness or maturity or emotional regulation or what have you.
We already have a comment. Friendships are overrated.
Oh, I'd be curious why they say that.
Hopefully they will respond, and we'll bring them out. We'll talk about that in the round robin. I think would be a fun one to have everyone respond to that. For right now, we'll move on to our next guest, Stacy. Thank you so much. And next up, we have Tyler. Tyler, tell us, who are you?
Yeah, I'm Tyler. I am the strongest friend.
Ooh, all right. I can't wait to delve into that. Um, okay, let's go over your tip first. If I wanted to improve my social health regarding being the strongest friend, what piece of advice would you give me?
Well, it's pretty similar to the golden rule. I'm sure you've heard of the golden rule, right?
Yeah, do unto others as you want done unto yourself.
Oh, well, I was kind of hoping I was setting you up for a joke of like he who has the gold makes the rules, but no, you're right. It is to do unto others as you would want done unto you. But this is what's called the mirror rule, and I like to say treat others the way they treat you.
Okay, right. So now you said you are the strongest friend. Tell us more about that and how that works.
Well, I mean, friendship is like my biggest value. So, I'm always trying to be a better friend. And I mean, kind of speaking a little bit on the last tip is, I used to be like real codependent, but then I've been working on my boundaries and stuff. And that's just made me a stronger friend as well. And now I feel like I'm in this place where I have more best friends than I have real friends.
Oh man, okay. All right, Tyler, where on your life journey did you learn this advice?
One of my best friends, Nathan, pretty much showed me, how to be like a really good friend to everybody. And I kind of realized like, oh, I'm like being a better friend to some people than they're being to me too. And I need to like invest in the people who are being really good friends rather than, um, drinking buddies or the kind of friend who is always needs you but is never available for you. So I kind of came up with this at that point.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Tyler. We're going to move on to our
Thank
next
you.
guest, and we'll bring you out in the round robin. Next up, we got Jesse. Jesse, who are you?
Bonjour. I'm Jesse Lewis, comedy hypnotist, general weirdo, all that stuff. Let's do this.
All right, Jesse. If I wanted to improve my social health by being the strongest friend, what piece of advice would you give me?
The best way I can say this is that just because a person's the strongest friend doesn't mean that they have to say yes all the time. To be the strongest friend, you should be able to say no to that friend sometimes. Not all the time, but maybe if you can't say no, maybe that person shouldn't be your friend in the first place.
All right, let's delve into that. All right, so you're the
There's a lot there, right?
Go ahead.
There's a lot there, right?
Yeah. So you should always be able to say no. Um, I guess one thing I'll bring that up in the round robin.
Okay.
Actually, we might want to just bring all this up in the round robin. I feel like
they've all kind of hinted at not being able to say no specifically. They haven't used the words, but you have to be able to say no, or it's not a friendship at all. If a person is constantly using you and using you and using you, and you can't say no to them, that's not a friend. That's a relationship that you don't want at all.
But at some point in a relationship, there's going to be somebody that needs more than the other person. So
Absolutely.
I wonder how long that takes. And that's something I think we're going to pull up in the we'll do that in the round robin. That's going to be our first question
Yeah.
right off the bat. All right. So Jesse, tell us, where on your life journey did you learn your advice?
Well, I'm a giver. And when I was younger, I used to give, and it eventually burns you out. You don't have the mental capacity if you're always the one who is just giving. So I learned I had to say no, and it actually started when I was a kid with a very close relationship I had, and I had to break bonds with people because it was such a drain on my life. And knowing that has led me to be a heck of a lot happier. There was a comment earlier that said friendship is overrated, and it can be overrated if somebody's abusing you in a relationship, right? In a friendship, maybe you just don't have the people around you that actually support you, and that's another thing. You should be supporting your friends in a way that actually supports them, not treating them just use. Sometimes you got to give back too. Weird, right? It's a fine
Jesse,
balance.
Go ahead.
It's a fine balance between all of it, right? So,
yeah, we're gonna delve into that. We're gonna bring everyone else out here, and I think it's time to get to the nitty gritty. Audience, we've introduced our guests. Time for you to ask some questions. The first one is gonna be one that I'm gonna ask, and it's gonna go like this. All right, guys. So we're talking about being the strongest friends. So at some points in a friendship, someone's gonna have a rough spot, right? And we have another friend there that's gonna be like their anchor in there to hold them through. At what point does that become too much to where it's no longer a friendship? At what point do we need to have strong boundaries? At what point do we say no? How do we determine whether this friendship is healthy for both parties, or if one becomes more of a taker and a user, then it becomes unhealthy? That's the gist of it. Somebody start talking.
I'll go. I have a good example of this. A woman that I was friends with was in a relationship that was just driving her crazy. And honestly, she used to come over all the time, and I was always there. She'd call or she'd come to the house. And finally, one day, after months of this, I finally looked at her and said, "You know what? I'm your friend, and I'm happy to be your friend. But you're going to have to stop coming over here and complaining about the same thing, because you aren't taking any action yourself to make the situation any different." And she never complained again, but not to me anyway. But I think that's kind of how it goes sometimes, right?
sometimes you just have to tell people, "Hey, smarten up."
Yeah,
It sounds
yeah.
mean, but if somebody's constantly making drama llama, why take part and not tell them to smarten up, right? I'm kind of mean, I guess, but them's the breaks.
Well, I think that you've got to
I just want to
go ahead.
go ahead.
Tyler
I'll
goes.
go. So I just want to talk. Yeah, I think like the mirror rule really helps out with that. If somebody starts to take too much from the relationship, if you start treating them that way, then they either kind of normalize and it like works out all right. Otherwise, they stop being your friend when you start treating them the way that they're being unfriendly. You know what I mean?
I think it's kind of like the oxygen mask on an airplane, right? Like you've got to put your oxygen mask on and know where your boundaries are and your own relationship with yourself before you hand the oxygen mask off to anybody else, right? And, that takes a degree of discernment. And I think most people probably learn that through fucking it up at first and then, finding where that boundary is. Or, if you want to use the oxygen mask analogy, you got to suffocate a little bit before you know how to breathe. But, like you also have to be able to be truthful and honest with your friends and really call them out on their bullshit when they are being a ninny or they are self-sabotaging in some type of way. And in order to really be able to recognize and call that out, you have to see that stuff like within yourself and where you fuck it up, right? And I think that comes with, just hashing it out, going through life, man. It's more from experience than, you can't just read it in a book and run with it, right?
We had a question come up actually.
Gotta try that.
In the
Hi,
chat,
we have a question
Awesome.
that I'm going to put on the screen.
and I want to answer it.
Okay.
I have a best
Be
friend.
honest. How many
She's
of
sitting
you
downstairs.
actually have a true best friend? Somebody who really knows you? Jesse, anyone but Jesse? Okay, Jesse, you can.
I have one.
I'll go second or third.
Yeah, mine is sitting downstairs. And I've got a couple other really close friends that I don't use them, they don't use me. And we help each other do things. We help each other network. And yeah, they are my best friends. I've got probably 5 of them total. Now, we don't agree on everything, but do they really know me? Yeah, I'm a flippin' weirdo in real life, as most of you know. It's just this. I don't filter anything. I have no tact. So, yeah, and I'd be willing to bet everybody else here has an actual true best friend as well.
Yeah, I do. And honestly, it was really hard one for me. I come from a family of 2 military parents and moved around very early in my life. Went to a bunch of different schools, had to make new friends at almost every venture until the time I was 16 or 17 years old. I'm making new friends every year, right? And so that makes it challenging, to say the least, to keep that long-standing friendship. And to answer Globo's question, the way that you really do that is you have to be open, right? Like you have to be honest with your life and be authentic in order to attract the people who are going to end up being your best friends, who are going to support you and call you out on your bullshit, who are going to connect you with the things that are going to better your life, right? But you're never going to find that being masking who you truly are, or half-assing a friendship, right? Like you really got to put in the work of a relationship just as much as you would a romantic relationship.
So I have some best friends that are like 20 years old, and there's like 6 of us in a group chat. Every Monday we send each other a weekly video update to keep in touch. Some of them I probably haven't seen in maybe like 2 years. But yeah, we keep in touch that way. All right, we got another question. Globo, you are landing some good questions. I love this. All right, Globo's asking, do you think having money makes you a more powerful friend or just a more useful one? Fantastic question.
I think it's really up to you. Just because you have a good amount of money doesn't mean you're gonna like share it with your friends. Definitely savings is how you build up your wealth. So, I think you kind of have that discretion of, what you're going to invest in, whether it's financially or otherwise. If it could be your energy or your, other resources that you have.
I'm going to flip that one on its head a little bit, because I really don't think it's us. It's the way the other people perceive us. Right? It's not, if we have money, it's how they perceive us, right? And if they're using us as a useful friend because we have more money, then that's not really a good friend to us. So I'm going to flip that one on its head a little bit.
Yeah.
But how can you tell if they're just using you or if they're actually trying to be your friend?
Sometimes it takes a little while, but it's, again, it depends on the person. Some are a little more clever than others, but I would say that, it's obvious. It becomes obvious pretty quickly.
Yeah,
Because
my
true
favorite.
friendships, best friendships take a while to develop, right? So you learn. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
You're good. One of my favorite quotes is from Royce to 5'9", the rapper, and he says, "I've been up and I've been down and I don't give a fuck." And so it's like if your relationship and stuff is based solely off of finances, it's going to be really really evident. You know, people have different seasons of their life where, especially financially successful people, most of them, statistically speaking, have come from very meager beginnings, right? They've slept in their car. They've worked 100-hour weeks. They've done all these things that are just really sacrificial to get to there. And so, like, if you're judging usefulness or power off of financial stuff, like, you know, you're not in a friendship, right? Like, you're in a parasitic relationship more than a friendship.
That's fascinating.
Definitely.
So I have a couple friends that are. I mean, we're talking about rich, right? So I have a couple friends that are billionaires, and it is a interesting line. Um, so when the the rich hang out with the rich, it's a different story, right? Like, hey, come fly on my plane or come ride on my boat is just a normal thing, and they go back and forth. It's your boat today, our boat here. But now, if you're friends with people that don't have that kind of monetary level, and they invite you on their boat, you know, the first time it could be just friendship, this or that. But at some point, I guess if they start asking, it becomes using them. But it's interesting how money levels change people's perspective, right? Like, oh, we're friends. Let's go fly to Aspen and meet and have a vacation. Okay, cool. We'll meet there. But then when it becomes someone that can't afford to fly there, one person could be like, hey, I'll pay for your flight and your hotel there. Okay, cool. If they're like lifelong friends, that's probably not a problem. And so it's interesting where money becomes a determining factor. But like this show says, there's 6 different types of health. So maybe the friend that's not financially healthy is spiritually in touch. And so when they do show up, they help you not get lost, find your purpose, these kinds of things. Or maybe they have, great physical health, and maybe they're not rich because they don't care about money, but they'll help you eat healthier and do this while you're there, or you can do good workouts. So now we just opened a whole nother can of worms. Anyone have anything to add to that?
Yeah, no, I think you're absolutely right that there's different areas of health and places where you can dominate. I also have several millionaire and billionaire friends, and they want a lot of the access that I have to, large name artists and big shows and backstage and all that. I mean, I literally just a couple days built a Jelly Roll and Post Malone show that was sold out with 20,000 people, and it didn't matter how much money you had. It was going to take you 4 to 5 hours just to show up at the show, if you could even get in, because of the logistical issues, right? And so, that access was afforded to me, even though I'm not a millionaire or billionaire, right? And people want that, but it's like, it isn't always a financial transaction, and friendship really isn't a super transactional thing. It's more about compassion for the other person. It's more about how you guys connect with your energy in a deeper sense than just on the surface level of money or the surface level of um, you know whatever you can do for the other person.
Let me redirect this a tiny bit. So we're talking about being the strongest friend. So I guess this topic is about. So obviously there's 6 aspects of health. You can be strong and whatever, whatever. I guess the big thing is we're trying to figure out: are you being a strong friend for a friend that you know and is in need, temporary or short term? How do you know if they're just going to keep, parasiting off you? How do we know if it's worth investing in that friendship? Like, if they keep saying, hey, I need this, I need this, I need this, at one point, do you have to put a boundary up? what advice do you guys have for that type of friendship building?
In general, we're talking about other friends, but I think generally speaking, you have to be your own best friend.
Oh boy.
You you, you have to be, your own advocate. You have to know yourself well enough, and you have to have a broad enough perspective and experience to kind of assess things in a way that are objective and not reactive, right? So a lot of it is personal growth, and becoming your own best friend, and then that is the foundation upon which everything else rests.
I love that so much because in dating, sometimes you'll hear like, "Oh, you can't really love somebody unless you love yourself first," and like, I don't know, that seems like it's almost like you have to be worthy of love, but everybody deserves that. But I think it works better in that like friendship concept of like if you aren't your own best friend, how could you be a best friend to somebody else? Might be like a more politically correct way to put that.
All right.
I just
Any
wanted to
last
let you
thoughts
know.
is that you, Jesse? Go ahead.
That was me. Tyler, I just want to let you know I love myself every day. Gonna leave it there.
I hope you wash your hands afterwards.
Oh my
It's important,
Thank
and
you.
it's important. I'm just going to let that slide. It's important
Yeah,
because we
please.
take ourselves everywhere we go, right? So who do you want to hang out with? You want to hang out with somebody that's a pessimist and a bitch, or moody or difficult to be around, or you want to be around someone that's joyful, right? I'm kind of back to the joy, and kind of being in a default emotion of joy. And it doesn't mean bad things don't happen and we don't have challenges, but when you are that person, um, it affects your friendships, right? Because it all begins within and goes out. And we become, I think I said at the beginning, of friendships are very intentional, right? It's they don't just get our attention, they get us intentionally nurturing the friendship. And that has to be reciprocal. And there are ebbs and flows, and sometimes one needs more than the other, but it has to be reciprocal over the long run.
Yeah, my final thought is just that to have a good friend, be a good friend.
Mhm.
All right. Well, let's move to the daily challenge. And we need to come up with a task or series of tasks that helps us improve our social health regarding being the strongest friend. These tasks must take less than 5 minutes a day, cost $0, and be available to anyone in the world. What ideas do you have?
Maybe practicing mirroring would be like a good, easy, low cost thing. If you're with somebody, just mirror their body language and see how that feels. It's a great way to deepen a relationship for sure.
Fascinating. All right. So,
It's a good sales tactic too.
so you just mirror. All right. So daily challenge. I mean, I guess we interact with people every day, right? And if not, then I guess that's what you need to do. All right. So, at one conversation per day, focus on mirroring body language of the other person. Okay? That's going to be fun to intentionally do.
Use it in hypnosis a lot when you're doing sessions. You mirror them the whole time. It's really cool, actually. Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I know Josh and I are going to be going to the strip club.
For me, I think that part of the challenge should be monitoring how often you're saying no to a person, or how often they're requesting things that maybe you don't want to do, that could harm your own personal mental and mental health more than anything.
Okay, so we got to figure out I guess every day you could think of someone that asks for more than they give. How are we going to try to boil that down to a 1 minute activity? I mean, I
Good
guess
question.
Maybe
let's
might be able to
take a
like
couple of minutes and think about closest friends and who is the taker or giver in the relationship. And I mean, you don't really have to act on it, but I think Jesse,
And
it's a good.
maybe also if you're the taker,
Go ahead.
like maybe you're personally taking a lot, right?
Exactly. Taker or giver. So it's like we don't have to act on it. You don't have to like go end the friendship, but take a and think of your closest friend, or and just like take a moment or two and think about that relationship. Be like, oh, they always drive me, or they always buy dinner, or they always call me. Why am I not calling them? And maybe it'd be a good little self reflection, like you said, Jesse. I like that one a lot. Take 2 minutes
I
and
love
just
it.
pick one person and just analyze your last like 10 interactions and just say, who's the giver, who's the taker, or is it equal?
and that can change all the time too. Even if it was like,
And that
the last 10 interactions or the last 100 or something, it can
Definitely.
really vary a
yeah,
lot. So
and
it's
honestly, if
I like
if
that.
it's balanced, that's healthy. It really is. But if it's severely unbalanced, it's not healthy at all.
Yeah, so
Now,
that's actually
also,
that's a good one. I like that.
keep in mind, maybe somebody's going through a divorce and they need more support as well. So maybe that's not the best thing to think about, right? Maybe they are having hard times, but
Well,
you can
that's
still
part of the
analyze
thinking
it.
too. Yeah, I mean, if you're like, I'm being a giver right now, and you're like, oh, well, they're going through a divorce, or, their
Yeah.
mom just died, or whatever, you can kind of can come up
Yeah.
with reasons for that. All right, yeah, in the last year before they got divorced, was I ever a taker?
Yeah.
And I mean, you'll call them out and scream at them, but you can just, silently, I'm a giver in this, and start paying a little more attention, and maybe that relationship is not so healthy for you.
Yeah.
I think that's a solid one.
Yeah, that's super solid. I agree.
Awesome. All right, guys. Well, we got the daily challenge done, so we are going to wrap this show up. Thank you all so much. I'm going to put you backstage now. And thank you, audience, for watching yet another
Yeah.
episode of Millionaires Are Made. Today, we focused on social health and being the strongest friend. Lots of relationships, maybe one-sided. Maybe you're in one. Maybe you're in a couple. We've got a sweet daily challenge. So we're going to, during a conversation while you're either video chatting or in person, we're going to mirror the other person. It's a great technique to build relationship. And then we're going to take a couple of minutes, almost like a social meditation. Ha, 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 ha. Sit down, clear your mind, and pick out one relationship that's close to you. So over the next week, we'll do 7 of them. And you don't have to act on it. Just think and try to analyze who's the giver, who's the taker in that relationship. If it's hard to figure that out, ding, that's probably a balanced, healthy relationship. If you think of their closest friend and it's immediate, like, oh my God, I give to them all day, every day, well, maybe you need to chill out for a bit. Or have a conversation with them and say, yo, you call me for advice, counseling, my car, food, whatever it is, all the time, and it's very one-sided, and where you need to fix that, or yada, yada, and perhaps that's causing stress in your life. Wow, fantastic. So don't forget, follow us, like, subscribe, all that fun stuff, and never forget